Call the meeting to order. This is the Purchasing and 2002 Financial Management Meeting Committee. We're in conference room 112. It's March 11th, 2024, at 4 p.m. Call the meeting to order. Commissioner Brown, would you mind leading us in an invocation? Thanks.
Lord, we come before you at this time, and we're always mindful of the fact that we are your children, and wisdom is something that we always crave, and we covet your wisdom. Please give us all that is necessary in order to consider the general welfare of this county, to help us. Lord, we are also mindful of the sacrifice that your Son gave us on the cross, the fact that he washed away all of our sins in that life-giving flood. Be with us as we go forward the rest of this evening. Keep us safe. We ask this in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Everyone take a minute, review the agenda.
I thought that was being heard a budget. Do you need extra? I
motion to approve the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait. That was what I was talking
sorry.
about. Would like to add this resolution here to the agenda.
Give us a copy of the agenda.
Section 8F, to look over this agenda here, this resolution.
8F?
8F.
Sorry, new business F.
Yes, under new business, 8F.
Mr. Langford, you need one of these. We just added it to the agenda.
Do we have a motion to add that to the agenda before we approve it?
I believe, yeah. Mr. Brown,
So you want to make a motion to add this to the agenda, please?
Do we have a second for
I'll second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And, under new business, item F, the resolution that was passed up by the county attorney. Motion through the agenda. So, still, second set.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Do you want me to make that motion again? then?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve, we did that before you guys. Motion to approve the agenda. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes. Oh, sorry. We skipped recognition from the public. Back that up. Would anybody like to speak to the committee? All right. Now approval of minutes. Please take a look at them.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So I'll start with a quick report. We're going to look at quite a few topics from the subcommittee discussions that we've had over the past couple of months. One of the key pieces here is the purchasing and accounts payable policies and procedures, which we reviewed December 11th. There were several items that needed further review. I think at this point we've reviewed or discussed most of them, but a couple of the outstanding ones still included getting some wording or reviewing the engineering portion.
We might want to reach out to the county engineer for that.
So we'll be looking at
the engineer's okay with the language.
Okay, perfect. And then we had a few other things that were already passed by the commission, including increasing approval of contract review and I believe it was some other minimums. One of the other topics on there was also reviewing the pay period issue, which was reviewed on February 1st at our last subcommittee meeting. Everyone in attendance voted unanimously for possible option 2. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the motion that carried. And I'll just read this into the notes here. So, in order to correct this timekeeping issue where we've got some employees that are paid from the day they start without a holdback period, so they're paid in advance basically rather than in arrears, it's causing some issues with the timekeeping software. So the option to fix that would be this option 2 that we voted on, which is set a specific time that all employees will have at least a 5-day holdback period. Give all employees in the affected departments the second week. Obtain the Budget Committee's tentative commitment for the funds needed, and notify the affected departments and employees in advance. The one-time budget effect would be approximately $270,000. So basically what this would do is move people's start dates back a week with no out-of-pocket issues, and the county would be basically paying that extra week out as they retired or as they left. So the $270,000, as I understand it, would not be a one-time cash reduction for 2025, but would be more of an accounts payable accrual that would draw from as people left. I'm assuming average tenures 10 to 20 years, so do the math, whatever 270 divided by 10 to 20 years would be approximately the cash spent per year on this, which seems fairly reasonable to me at least to get this cleaned up so we can move forward with some of our other stuff that we're trying to accomplish here. So again, that's an opinion, not a fact. But did I miss anything?
Chairman, it's there, so this doesn't affect the employee, right? The county is offsetting them.
Correct. It would be 100% covered. It'd be basically like they got as far as I understand it, a 3 weeks paid vacation that they just get whenever they retire.
I know that sticks in, but we would be so open to a wage and hour lawsuit, because you'd have to go back and try to calculate when they earned that wage. So I know we talked about that before. I think it's the best part. I think that's a great word. It's really positive and, way to solve the problem moving forward.
Well, you have to say like Murfreesboro did it.
That's what I heard hearsay, but
They had the same issue in Murfreesboro.
I spoke to CTAS. They didn't mention names, but they said other places had done that. Yeah. Yeah.
My understanding is Murfreesboro.
And as far as other open issues that we had from purchasing, I don't think we had any other ones. know I have some stuff in here around, some things for boots that I think we got worked out, but other than that, I think we've at least got enough feedback to take another look at this at our next subcommittee meeting.
Me and Toby's talked about it, got it down with it.
Okay.
You know, they working, based on what we're doing, it's gonna be a working condition benefit, based on safety boots. Perfect. Because they're all safety boots, is what they will be, not just boots.
So that goes to full commission for them.
So this, we'll vote on it later, but the option two, we'll vote on it collectively, and then now again, I believe there's a resolution in the committee, either this month or next month. I think one thing we have to decide is that, the language around, to qualify for it, you have to be on the new system, I think was something that was gonna be discussed, or something that we've been discussing to make sure that we don't have this problem again, basically. That's all I have. Mr. Mayor?
No report.
I do not have a report other than what may come up out of the added item to the agenda, so I'll just reserve anything for that.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Looks like we do have some updated numbers from the trustee, if anybody wants to review those. And then several folks down here like to keep an eye on those. I do have a representative, if you have any questions. Oh. No questions from me, but anybody else on the committee? Numbers keep getting bigger, that's good. Mr. Lyon?
No report.
Only old business topic we have, just a request from the Elected Officials Association, if we can get a copy of last meeting's minutes, I don't know if you've got those.
Yeah, as soon as we meet to approve them,
Okay.
we share.
All right,
We haven't met yet.
we'll push that to old business again for next month. Moving along here. So we're now on the subcommittee, return of items, pages 5 through 15. I already read off a recap from what we discussed. It was a very short meeting, but again, voted unanimously if you move to page 7 for option 2. Other options were discussed, but to the superintendent's point, we wanted to figure out a way least impactful to the employees that would also mitigate risk on our end as well. So it seemed like the best balanced approach to accomplish what we need to.
Or it's just that 228,
I think it's the one I last one. I have it down somewhere. Yeah, 228 when I picked up the number. And that may be based on vacancy.
it's just seamless to them, they really don't know anything about it.
And that work back employee.
Just a lead balance between the year behind.
And if you want to see the breakout, David's got every line item in here.
All of those people that are highlighted. The ones are the department heads. Red was one that potentially didn't do it before. I believe the department heads. Yeah, not, yes, not right there. Yeah, the copy machine didn't do it. I believe purple thing. So that was the actual director for the archives. Of course, she only manages one board, she's a working manager, it's kind of a question one way around how well she does. Kind of denoted that.
Can you explain why you recommended option 5?
Which one's option? Option 5 is the cheaper option, and it could achieve the same thing by treating the department head as a because they're exempt. Basically, you treat all the hourly and other employees the same, but the department heads, you would just pay them out for their extra days at the last payroll in June, and then divide the payroll by 26. But then they just do payroll by exception anyway. They don't track hours. But it is cheaper doing it that way.
30,000.
That would take out all the directors, like the library directors, the construction and development, planning, finance, legal, any of the directors in there. Archives, I have in the list, but I would question that, and you probably wouldn't want to treat it that way. And then I think VA's in that group too.
Is there a reason not to go with Mr. Long's recommendation?
I know John got feedback from a lot of the folks about implementing, and his belief was that it would be easier to implement 2, and there'd be less pushback to 2, just to getting it implemented. So more of keeping this thing moving. We kind of lean towards 2 rather than creating more complexity with 5. But correct me if I'm wrong.
For discussion, I'll make a motion to approve option 2.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, and I went back and forth on the whole paying of the employees to the point I called CTAS and even asked. It's got to go through commission. There's some people on there that aren't going to like the idea to start with. There's taxpayers that already don't like the idea. I would more lean toward Mr. Long's recommendation of the cheaper option. That's just where I'm at.
Okay. We've got a motion, a second. We'll put this to a vote. If it goes down, we'll vote on 5. Is that how it would work?
Yes.
Okay. So all in favor of option 2, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No,
Is that 5-2? Motion carries. We do still need to discuss, I believe, the timing of this. So what would, I believe, option 5 had effective date of June 1st. I'd like to see if anybody would call a motion to have June 1st be the effective date on this as well.
Why June 1st?
Okay?
Why June 1st? Just out of curiosity.
It aligns with the budget, right?
July 1st will align with the budget.
Oh, okay. July 1st. So
You can always do it on the last payroll in June either one. Let's do it on the last payroll in June, that'd be the easiest. Since you're gonna do all of them. The June 1st was if you were gonna do the option 5, so the last payroll in June would probably be the easiest to do it on.
So July 1st would be a
Well,
better.
it'd be the last payroll where you pay out the payroll in June, which would be,
So we do it based on, instead of setting a date, we just say
The last.
based on the last payroll in
which
June.
would be that Thursday, the last,
So that'll reside in this year's budget.
until we would probably need to go on to budget next month.
So would that be, I'm just thinking through here, we have to get budget approval for an unallocated expense of 200, I mean, I know it's not $270,000 all at once, but I guess my question would be, does this be something better to put in? I understand what you're saying, David, but I'm wondering if there's money, I guess my question if I'm on budget would be, have it prepared for this. Is it better to budget it in next year's budget? I mean, you know that better than me, huh?
It would probably be easier to swallow next year's budget, but it'd be a cleaner break if you do that. If you don't, then some of those hourly employees are gonna mix the cost of living all together, and it's gonna be really, I'm afraid it's gonna be confusing, you know.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which
I know it's like a
June
reclass.
20.
It's not gonna be substantial.
It's basically a reclass, right?
Basically, you take, if the payroll ended on that Friday, you're gonna move the payroll in the Friday before and give them, 5 day work week.
I'm not really talking about the employee, I'm talking about the accounting, that. It's mainly a reclass.
It's just a budgetary expense. So we would just, at the end of the year, instead of say if you had 8 days vacation, you're gonna end up with 13. That'd be for 5 more.
And if that employee left, when they leave utilization, they retire,
You can just catch that 5 days.
you can catch that 5 days.
And it wouldn't have to make a vacation, we'll just move it back in. In other words, if you're gonna have 2 unpaid payroll, say on that last payroll, if you're gonna have 2 unpaid payroll days, you're gonna have 7.
So in effect, if they leave, they'll get paid out.
Yes, or
Unless they use it. Right.
when they leave.
So the only new money would be is if someone happened to coincide with the already at the last time frame. I guess that's not gonna be,
It's gonna be a budgetary expense.
that's not gonna be a substantial amount.
Cash is gonna be going out very slowly over several years on that.
So just from a timing perspective, if you roll it into this year's budget versus next year's budget, do we have, just from a balance sheet perspective, do we have the room to do it this year? Okay.
The general fund could afford that. The general fund's pretty healthy.
So I guess, Dr. Mike, going back to your thought of moving to next year, if you make a clean break this year, I think you would probably do.
I think the clean break makes more sense.
Based on your hours, employees will get mixed up about it. They'll show that line, say there's one employee on there, show line increases by more because that accrued for next year. And then they'll say, I got
Well, I mean, it would be such a small, I mean, you wouldn't catch up with a handful. You'd have to time it out perfectly.
somebody say,
You honestly give everybody incentive to stay review.
So I'll make the motion to have it effective the last budget meeting.
Second for that?
Brandon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, could we, I don't know if it's in here, but amend that to make sure they're on the new Kronos payroll system before they qualify for it? Was that something that was in here originally?
that was never discussed.
I thought that we discussed that, did we not?
The subcommittee didn't discuss it, you guys may discuss it, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It wasn't discussed at the subcommittee.
Kronos is a separate issue.
Okay. So move forward with the motion, implement the last pay period in June and a second. Take it to vote.
So we're doing it without Kronos?
Kronos is separate from this.
This recommendation at this point, yes.
So the whole reason was to get, okay.
All in favor? Opposed? Now on issue, new business topic C, purchasing issues. We've got the county clerk here. Sorry, circuit court clerk, my apologies. Dave, would you mind giving us a quick summary of,
I'm just bringing it to your attention, I just received a request to transfer funds for a timekeeping system. My understanding is all departments are, when implementation is complete, required to be on Kronos, so I'm bringing it for information. That's kind of where I'm at on it.
Make a motion for discussion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, was this an illegal purchase?
Not that I'm aware of.
Why are we addressing it?
I believe there was just concerns over, the the fact that we have a countywide system, and there was
It's not
request.
an illegal purchase. Shouldn't be on the agenda.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, it's not, Kronos is what we're gonna be doing it by, so.
Still not an illegal purchase.
Understand.
So I make a motion that we disregard this or whatever we need to do, not to take any action on it.
Second.
I don't think we were taking action. I was just looking at it as a duplicate system.
Still was not an illegal purchase.
So we also addressed duplicate systems. But I don't think there's any action.
I didn't
think
feel-
that's a topic item for this committee.
Yeah, I don't think so either, and I think that hearing Ms. Strong's explanation, you know, it's not just a Kronos type system. She's using it for a lot of different functions. The mayor is, you know, she's constitutionally elected to run her office, and I think that's, if we're gonna start micromanaging every purchase in every department, that's a problem.
Gotcha. Yeah, understand the concerns here. I think, what I'd like to just remind everybody is that the whole purpose of the financial committee here is to implement the Financial Management Act. And we're working in good faith, trying to get new systems implemented, and want to make sure that we are providing the right services and the right products so that maybe we don't need to buy duplicate systems. And if there's a roadblock that we're causing, not allowing people to get on the new system, what can we do to help that along? So this to me is not a legal purchase. It's more of a, why do other departments feel they can't use this system we bought, and how do we fix it? So if we could get maybe that feedback, that would be
Well,
fantastic.
and I think it,
I'm strong.
I would love to speak to that if y'all would let me.
Yes, please. That's,
I mean, the Financial Management Act was implemented in 2012. In 2024, it still is not implemented. Through no fault of the department heads or elected officials or anything. I'm not in charge of Kronos or the implementation thereof. I've never expressed that I wouldn't go on Kronos, but it's unfair to expect department heads to wait on a timeline for which the finance office, even in the document they provided to you today, cannot give you a timeline for implementation of Kronos in these offices. There are 8 offices in the county on Kronos, out of all of them, 8. Until that, well, that's what's on the timeline that you submitted to us. I counted 8 that are already on. A lot of other ones say analyzing. To date, we have received no communication from the finance office with regards to a timeline for implementation, when we are ready to go on it. The only communication I've received from the finance office has been in response to me asking about a timeline for implementation. The last email that I received that the finance director likes to tell people that I failed to respond to, the last line says, we're not far off from testing if you are still interested. It is certainly not a, hey, this is what we need to do in furtherance of the Financial Management Act, and this is what we're putting out, and this is what we all need to do. That has never been communicated to any of the department heads. We're hearing about this from meetings like this, where I'm being called on the carpet for trying to do what's absolutely best for my office. So, I mean, I don't know what else to do other than the time that it costs the taxpayers for us to manually keep up with all the wage and hour stuff. But Kronos is not ready to go, per the stuff that they have given you. I'm in testing, and I'm communicating with the finance office about that. I've asked some questions that I'm waiting for answers. Okay, please, I'm happy for you to respond.
Has she
to that.
responded to questions, if any of our questions?
Yes,
Like,
delayed, but yes.
yes, but we're not at any kind of point that we can move forward.
Well, I'm
Yes,
still
I'm
waiting on a
interested.
couple of answers.
Wait on answers.
So can I jump in here? So you're okay with Kronos?
I've never expressed opposition to it.
And I think,
But the only reason we even had a demo of it is because I requested it. I mean, again, this is, if I'm rolling out a massive project in my office, I have a communication plan with people that it's going to affect. I have a lot of things that I do with the people that are going to be going on this plan. That has not been done.
okay, let me take that and leverage back into something that maybe you said, and maybe you said, Colin, that it has value beyond just a payroll system, right?
Correct. Mine does.
So, right, I mean, so really, you're coming here asking for $2,000. Well, that's what the $2,000 person says, but I'm just trying to figure out, let me finish this thought. If you're committed to go to Kronos, I think ultimately that's where we want to land, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, we're looking for a good timeline and a run time to get everything down to the county.
Additional expense or the allocation of that money that's purchased through the system that you looked at has the value that you think could create value for your department. I mean, I'm okay moving forward with this. I mean, I think I just want to make sure that we have a commitment from the department heads to move the Kronos. That's it. I mean, because that's in line with the 2012 act.
I think the issue here, though, is that, I think this goes back to Mr. Mayor Isbell's point, is that the fact that it's here, it should be like, typically what we look at are things like a violation of a purchasing order rule or something like that. There's nothing wrong with what Ms. Strong did. It's within her budget, and she's constitutionally authorized to make the purchase. The question is, possibly, is it duplicative? But I mean, I can say this, I've had the privilege of watching Ms. Strong since 2014 as she's taken over her office, the circuit court clerk, and she's automated everything over there to the fact that it, you know, she more than pays for her office with the fees and everything that she collects. So I've never known her not to operate in good faith in anything, and I just think it's beyond the purview of this committee to call into question a purchase that she's made to meet the needs of her department while expressing no opposition. The question is, on a best case scenario, we're on what, David, 8 to 12 months before Kronos is implemented. You know, we'll be well out of the budget year before this, if she needs a system in the meantime to do that. I don't think, I hear what you're saying, Mr. Kerr, but I just don't think it's, I think we're way overstepping the role of this committee to call one purchase order out of one department into question when it's within the allocated budget lines that she has to expend.
Well,
Typically, this is out of my data fund, that per the statute is my complete sole discretion to spend. Like, it can't even be used for anything else other than what, this came from a very large pot of money that can only be used for certain things. It's not even specifically out of anything else within my office. And it's for a 1-year thing to get me out of having to manually keep up with the spreadsheet. But again, it also does, it's a communicate, it does things that Kronos, well, I don't even know what Kronos can do because none of that's been communicated to me. But, it's a communication tool. It keeps up with training certificates. It keeps up with lots of other things besides just timekeeping.
Well, to me, that's inside of your purview, right?
Correct.
To make that decision, just like any department head would have that discretion. I think it belongs on this agenda today because we are trying to implement the 2012 Private Act, and that means a consolidated payroll system. If we've got a commitment by Ms. Strong to move Kronos, this thing needs to go. We need to move it forward and be done with it. I hear the reason why it's $2,000 exception, and I think up until now, I really didn't understand all the facts. I've read it, but I hadn't heard it. So I think that if we've got a commitment to move to Kronos, that's what this committee should be focused on, quite honestly. So.
Ma'am, is there some modules we can buy for Kronos to take care of the circuit clerk certificates? Because I don't want them to have to do duplicate systems. I want her to get what she needs, but
I believe Kronos already has a way to track that. We just don't have a department that currently does it, so I'm not familiar with that aspect yet. I was not aware that that's what she needed to know.
You wouldn't anticipate having to make more purchases to do training and those things to keep track. This would be what you need to look forward and keep track of.
I still think we're.
I'm sorry.
For what I'm using, what I'm using, I was able to implement in 2 weeks, and it satisfies all the needs that I have.
So
and I'm able to give the finance department anything they need to do for payroll.
Right.
Yeah. And I would like to say this, because you said this a couple times. I have not said today that I have a commitment to go on Kronos. I am not opposed to Kronos, but I don't know. I'm just now at the stage of learning whether or not Kronos even meets the needs of my office. Because that has not been conveyed to us at all. And what and whether or not there's a segregation of duties within Kronos, and who has control over what with Kronos. I mean, there's a whole lot that as elected officials that we have questions about that have not been answered.
Well, let's do that. Can I offer this up? Why don't we roll that into the update and discussion on implementation of ACT, and as you get more exposure to Kronos. But I do think, the county's made a decision to move forward with Kronos, and I think every department should look at it and use it. I mean, I've used different organizations, I think it's a really good system. But I think understanding that we got a commitment to consolidate our payroll function just from a control perspective, that's really key. And if there's, you have something you want to implement differently than inside of Kronos, then that's part of that. I think at the end of the day, I don't, as long as we have commitment to move to Kronos, I think I'm good. That's just my thought.
I just don't think we need an exception, because she has an exception implies that she's violating some type of purchase order.
I think you're overreading what I'm saying.
No, I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, what we have a motion now for an exception.
I'm not sure.
I don't think anybody has a motion.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought we had a motion.
You're hung up on this is quoted exception.
Is your motion to remove
We've got to move forward.
My motion is removed from the agenda.
So we've got a second to remove from the agenda?
Second.
So what is the motion?
So remove the purchasing issue item from the agenda, now that we've heard from Ms. Strong.
Take no action.
Yeah. There is no action to take, basically, just get her feedback at this point.
So you want to take a vote on taking no action? Is that what I heard?
I would like that in the minutes, and we're taking no action against.
The motion to take no action?
But I also have the minutes reflect that we had a discussion with Strong about looking into Kronos. I mean, that's just for the record.
Can I just, while we're still on, I just have a question. So with Kronos, my understanding was, and maybe Mr. Langford, you were here, I don't know at what point the subcommittee voted on Kronos, if that was before your time or just before you. My understanding is, and maybe you've read those, is that Kronos came about because the policy subcommittee back in the day did research.
Hired a consultant.
Hired a consultant.
Clam Moran, they're like one of the largest consultants.
So that's how we got to selecting Kronos. Is that, I'm just trying to understand.
It was my understanding I was chair of financial management a long time ago, like 10 years ago. And we were 2 years in, I think, at that time, David. The problem in the early, I think I gave this history before, just from my perspective, is that, we've never, for the first 2 years, David did not have the resources to do the implementation. We had a lot of things we had to do we were jeopardizing all the county's data because we didn't have the IT infrastructure until probably 2019, 2020 to support, maybe 21 to support this implementation. So it's a long journey to get there. I think it's fraught with it's just like with any other data implementation. You're doing something that's the one thing you never want to do in any kind of organization is miss payroll or mess up payroll.
We moved from in-house to in the cloud and started over. And
Yeah.
when IT came, we actually started completely over because they moved it from in-house to the cloud, so we had to reprogram all of this. We've done this thing 2 to 3 times now, at least. Yeah. So we've been through the implementation, and then IT was going to help us, and they restarted the whole thing. They got down the road and actually terminated the 2 employees that were helping to do the implementation and give them back to us. We basically started over, and then we brought in the sheriff's department after that when they came in.
I think that an understandable concern of the elected officials is not in opposition to what the county wants to do. They're sitting there with employees who are counting on paychecks and pay and everything else. They just want to make sure it's right. So I think it's just like any other implementation plan. It's fraught with a lot of twists and turns. I think anything I honestly think from the committee's perspective, anything that we can do as we look at this plan to make sure that there's great communication between the department heads and the committee and Mr. Lawley's office will help us in the implementation.
And before it leaves this room, just so we say it for the camera, nobody's going to miss a paycheck.
Right.
The word out of this meeting is nobody's going to miss a paycheck.
Right.
And we-
ever.
And we hear the
from this.
frustration.
No, I'm just saying
We want to
that.
get this right.
I'm just saying that.
I just want to be
the number
clear,
one
if
concern
anybody
for
says they heard
anyone is
something.
that- Right, no, I agree, but I know like anytime we do anything in the school system, I'll just speak to the school system. Our number one thing is that whatever we adapt, update, anything else, we gotta make sure that we do it in such a way that it doesn't mess up the system's ability to make payroll.
The other issue is our number one priority has not been working. It's been the budgets, the payroll, your AP, the year end. So this is just another side job we've been doing the whole time. We brought in IT, restarted, it was very unsuccessful, so we've restarted it. This last month, they funded some help, and we're in the process of trying to hire that help, so we're not even at that point with that additional.
Once David's in, is there any more discussion on this?
No.
Okay, so take no action, motion seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you for coming, by the way.
D is incremental weather. We have the county's policy in there for incremental weather. Our understanding is always and just included full-time employees, but it does not say that. The library has what they're calling regularly scheduled part-time employees, and just for your information, we have started paying them for incremental weather, unless somebody has an issue and wants to change the policy. It was always our understanding in the past it did not, but they wanted to, so we went and reviewed the policy closely, and I cannot see any prohibition in the policy for that.
Would it be if it's their regularly scheduled day to work?
Yes,
Okay.
their understanding.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a
I think
large
that's fair.
cost, it was about, without benefits, which is the Social Security and Medicare on these particular employees, it was about $4,900. But that was the whole question in the past, it's always been no, but with the new policy, it looks like that would be allowed, as we can tell.
I think that's fair.
So to John's point, if the roads are covered with ice, this building's closed, everybody gets their paychecks?
Be regularly scheduled part-time. In the past, they did not, but just make sure about that.
So salaried and
Well, you've got your regular hourly, full-time. Your full-times always did.
full-times always get it.
But in the past, part-time did not, but regular
If you're
scheduled.
part-time and scheduled to work that day,
But it does bring up a question, if you have non-regularly scheduled work as you go part-time, what happens to those folks? That hill hasn't been addressed yet, but it hasn't came up. Maybe something needs to be looked at later. But the
Do you need a motion?
No, just for information.
nothing needs to
In
change.
case somebody hears about it and wants to know what's going on.
Thank you.
And second to last agenda item, so
Is the chronos, which we discussed. Department number 1 was implemented this last month, judicial commissioners. And this is what we're saying, the employee that you guys requested we hired to help move along, the implementation, we have interviewed for the offered pay. We did not find an acceptable candidate, so we're going to re-advertise that particular job to see if we can find an employee. Item 2, we are right now working on the libraries. There are 5 libraries, and they all do it a little different under the policy, a little different interpretation, a lot of analyzing. And then right now, I think number 3, we've had a question from the circuit court clerk, and when we get the libraries going, we want to go in and answer her question and see if she's ready to move forward. Right now, my thought process, we send an email out to all the departments and ask them for when their dead zones are within the next year and see if we can start trying to pull these in. But if you start going down the list, there's several large things we're going to run into. The first one, I think, if it goes through budget, we'll deal with the first thing as far as automation. The lack of holdbacks has caused several departments not to be automated, which is a whole group that's down there. The sheriff's department, your largest department is done except for what we've got called on-the-job injury. So on-the-job injury, you get paid for basically it's workers' comp. You get paid 2/3 of your regular salary. The sheriff makes up the difference of the 1/3. Right now, we're trying to set up a process with the risk management where that can be handled. After that's handled, we think we're in the part to start testing full uploads for the sheriff's department. We've only got that one snag that's an issue with it. The other large department we've got done is EMS. EMS took on what's called telestaff, which is an advanced scheduling that actually feeds some of the chronos. that was nothing we ever anticipated or brought in employees for. Their employee, which you remember his name when they had left, Sam. Sam was the employee that did set that up and has worked on it. We've been working with them, but we have no training or staff that actually does that particular part of it. That is one we are going to need to get Kronos involved in to figure out what's going on with sales staff before we can completely automate that one back into the system, which is going to take some time and probably Kronos' involvement. Going down through the ones that are done, if you list the one that says county mayor and several of them right here on page 3, or page 23 of your actual agenda, 1, 2, 3, about 4 down, there's a whole group there that's completely done. We're just waiting for the whole back issue to be handled, and then we're going to start looking at the complete upload of the complete automation.
Caption.
And then right here, we try to list what we're working on and where we're at. And that's something we talked about before. We've got to figure out what we want to prioritize versus office operations versus that, because like right now, we're all finance pretty much involved in the budget process really heavily between now and the budget. Annette runs the payroll, and she's doing the furnace, but she's actually running your day-to-day payroll, so when you call or have offices or have issues, she's the one actually doing that. So that's where we're having to not have dedicated staff for Kronos or Kronos implementation. And when you do hire the implementers, you have to work with them. Are these going to be people that will be kept on later after implementation? What we've done in the past is Kronos work with us, but you have to have staff to work with them. It is very time-intensive. Right now, we do have some consulting money. We have tried to retain consultants, but that's not been the best interest.
It doesn't save me any time.
It doesn't save any time because we
It causes me more work on me.
So right now, I think next week, we're going to try to start interviews or re-advertise and try to pull that employee in and leave more time than Annette over into the actual Kronos implementation. What we would like to do is finish the libraries. Next, the circuit court clerk's ready to move forward, start getting her the information and move forward with her. And we would be happy to go through and list these and start coming up with tentative time frames that could be so wishes. One thought we've been talking about purchasing with Highway and Kronos. If we pull the additional employee in to do first, you may want to consider, if you're comfortable to it, of postponing the purchasing for Highway and take that employee fully over into payroll temporarily to work on the implementation of Kronos to try to knock that out first. It seems to be the largest project for that list.
Tony, would that be workable for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're still, me and Dave's still talking, and it's something that,
We have been forward, son.
yeah, we've been moving forward on stuff. I mean, they bid out 7 projects for me in the last few weeks.
So you're actively involved in all those?
We're bidding, we're just not doing anything with POs, and we've been working with them to get our bidding processes done, and it works smoothly. Went really smooth. I think the vendors were, our RFQ was a little more in depth, so I think that was probably the only comment. The vendors were used to be requested. Other than that, I think it went off really smooth.
If we do that, when do you see that the actual real transfer happen, the employees moving over?
Real transfer.
Well, you're starting that payroll.
What we're saying, if we hire the employee, the original thought to start with was to use 3 days for payroll and 2 days for purchasing to pick up the rest of the POs and bid processes for Toby. Instead, move the employee 5 days over into payroll until further notice that would allow, basically, first we're going to have to train the employee to do payroll and other functions, but the other employees are doing to allow her more time to go into the Kronos function. So at the end of the day, I'd like to see the payroll manager probably spending 80-90% of their time completely into the Kronos implementation. We do have a PO out for Kronos, so we can pull Kronos back in, and we do have some consulting money. One of them we do have, since we've started the project, ECC is a brand new department. They do have 12-hour shifts, I believe.
I don't know, but they're 24-hour service.
They're 24-hour service, but I believe they have 12-hour rotating shifts. And they're going to be one that we may or may not want to look at telestaff. The director, too, back actually wanted to do telestaff and we were ready to move forward, but they were not. But I think the best thing right now is if this coming week we have a net just to send out an email to all the departments and ask for their bid times for the ones that are left and see if we can move forward. for instance, Toby's got purchasing, if we move back, then we can start approaching him on the Chronos, because he does have all that. But there's gonna bring up new things such as, his clock, we have to about his clock, so that's one issue. Another one to bring up is we did work with the, health department one other time, we ran into issues with their network over there. Their network's very sporadic, and we have to figure out a way to get around it. We actually started testing with him 3 years ago. Before, we actually spent, he never did get a consistent clock in enough for us to actually test him.
Is that every health department, all 3 locations, or just the main?
Yes, that's all of them, that includes the DGA employees, so there's several employees there. And they all work different, and they actually are using the state policy. We're using a completely different policy, they're using the state policy. We did do the testing, the rules are set up, and we have reached out to Hal. Did he get back with us, or we still waiting for him to respond?
Well, we have IT to give us the guesstimate in here about.
So right now, the stop on it is we're waiting for IT to find out about the infrastructure changing to get that working. And right now is the best time to approach the court system because we're moving into the courthouse about the process.
So if I remember, the original goal here was to consolidate purchasing in your department. You're saying postpone that until you get Chronos implemented, and then bring that percent of the person over to purchasing. Well, consolidate purchasing and doing it.
To bring the person completely to payroll once the Chronos is implemented, then
So you're going to divert out of purchasing.
and then we'll divert it back into purchasing after the Chronos is implemented.
But the end game is to have that employee sitting in your shop doing purchasing.
Doing probably half purchasing, half payroll.
But they're managed out of your shop.
Right.
That's where I'm trying to make it.
Right.
We ultimately get where you're trying to start.
Right, and I just mentioned that because when we told the committee, we said they were gonna be half and half. And I don't wanna make a large change about, same reason I brought up the other stuff. Is this the person will be told that Toby? No, they're the one behind it now. It's basically what we're gonna do. Right now, we wanna totally dedicate them back into payroll and Chronos. Once Chronos is done, then we have one that's already doing it, kind of getting on the rest of it. We'll take that person probably 2.5 days a week just to work on Toby's purchasing and POs.
So we have a situation where the IT capability has been improved.
All at the county, but we still have some issues as far as like the health.
Separate offices, or
The health department is looking at their issues over there. They have a network issue.
that's just one?
That's one we know about. We go down through there.
The other is training. Those are the 2 things that I've heard that has stopped the implementation of this because
I'm saying based on
12 years is a long time.
We gotta think of all the changes that's made over the time. We started it, we spent a year with consultants. And then we spent until 2016 doing the financial section. 2017, we started on the Chronos. At that time, it was the schools and the counties. We both went down through there for about 3 years and determined that it was probably not the best for schools. With the IT and everything, it probably wasn't the best fit. The schools split back out in 19. So since 19, we had coronavirus in 19 and 20. And then after that, we started pulling back in the sheriff's department, EMS, after the coronavirus and settled. Since 2000, when did we do the sheriff's department?
2020, the end of 2020.
Then we did EMS, and then we pulled in these other departments during that time. So we're ready to move forward. The question is, we need to allocate resources to it. So the number one priority right now is what's going on in the office with the budget process. And yours today, we try to get you on it, but you have a lot of payroll issues. The actual payroll department and paying payroll.
Mr. Chairman, is this just
I think we just
informational?
an update, right? Dave, nothing to vote on?
Well, I think right now we need to determine how the committee wants to move forward. Do you want us to contact all the departments and find out every department that we believe should be on there, their blackout dates, and report back to this committee, the ones that do not respond next month? Because right now, we may send something in September, not receive a response for 3 months. That's where we're at right now, is slow responses.
I think that a lot of that comes back to what this resolution that we
was added to this. So we do get some timelines, because right now, we've never had any timelines. That's what we need to do, get some hard timelines as to what we're going to do as far as implementation. Otherwise, we're just going to be phone kicking the can down the road.
When do you, based on, we're getting ready to re-advertise, where are we at on re-advertising?
Well, that's not what I'm not asking.
We're gonna pull them up with
that right now. What I'm saying is, on the resolution right here is,
Do you want to move past his, and then we can get to adding some feedback to this?
yeah, because like I say, a lot of this, the resolution, will be tying into that, as far as when, come up with a timeline as to what date you would have all this done, and then a timeline as to when full implementation will be done. Those are two things we're looking at. So, that's what I would like to see as far as the resolution is concerned. And we can, let's say, give you a month from that to figure out who's missing, who needs to be brought up to date.
I think we'll need to contact the consultants to address it, and also contact probably Kronos for some of them too. Go ahead and start lining up Kronos, we started that OPPO. For ECC,
I don't even know when they're available. Some of the problem is if you tell me, okay, they have to be by May of 2025. Okay, well, if I reach out to them and then I get pushed back, and then I get pushed back, and then I get pushed back, and then I get, well, they want to do it this way. Well, that's not for policy. Well, you can't tell me what the policy is. And so it extends everything out.
What Mr. Brown's asking, correct me if I'm wrong here, is that we probably need to understand this part here. If we got departments pushing back, we need to articulate that on our report, so we can move forward with asking the mayor, whoever, to help us move that forward. I think right now, every time I see a report, it's like a moving target. And I think we've got to set in stone. We're going to give it 30 days, 60 days. You come back and you tell us where the hurdles are.
okay.
And then from there, we can say, here, let's work this department, this department, this department. But right now, we see, I mean, this is great information, but it is, it's like a moving target every time we see it. I would be in favor of moving forward. I'm open on the date, whatever the date looks like, but a date to say, you tell us where we are in each of these departments and what we need to do as a committee to help. That's what I would like.
When we start our communication, we ready the date is, you want us to round it back to the committee to let them get back involved in the email? That's right. That's what we're running into right now for non-responsive.
Todd, was there a motion in there somewhere?
Yes, I would say the motion is come back and let's talk about the date, whatever the date is. I think, 60 days from now, come back to the committee and say, we've rounded with every department. We've got no traction here, and here we have traction. And understand those hurdles of those departments that are not responding, are not working with your team to move forward to full implementation. So I would say 60 days. You come back with a report that gives department by department summary. Because we can't help you until we know what the hurdles are.
Yeah, so I'd like to know the hurdles, when they can do it the fastest. Like what is the earliest date they could implement,
right.
And then what are the hurdles to overcome to hit that date?
And then I would add one more layer to that, not just the hurdles, but you tell me what you think, how they should be put in priority. What are the highest and lowest risk? So it's kind of a medium risk document. So we can say, of those 10 that are not responding, this is the top 2 ones here. Now let's do all hands on deck to get these done. So
I'd like to add to that too. I wonder, Mayor Isabel, if we could get the Elected Officials Association to tell us their side, because I feel like, I know when you do these big implementations, there's multiple sides to every implementation. I think we need to hear what their snag and choke points are too, because part of the committee's work's got to be is to work through those points too. So I'd like to hear from the elected officials as well. That, because maybe if we got everything at the table, we can sit here and we can figure out some of these things in the fall.
I would roll that into the 60 days.
I agree, because it was very helpful when Ms. Strong explained that she wanted to record her certificate, and then Annette added that we do have that, and we just didn't know.
We may not
They
be
need
as
to do
far apart
training.
as we imagine. We just need to get everybody together and talk.
I think that's important. And if we had learned that before, maybe we could have
been quite.
So I think this has been a good conversation.
Who owns that? Is that the mayor, does he own that piece of that?
I'm sorry.
Trying to get with the.
Sure, I'll be happy to talk to county officials.
Okay.
Now, forgive me, I stepped out just a minute. Are we on item E?
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
We're going
And-
through
okay.
the update, and I
And
think
the
we're looking
motion right now is to, give our finance director 60 days to go with the department summary of those, when they may be offering pushback or asking questions. Okay.
Let me ask.
I think asking questions is not pushback.
Can I ask
It seems
one-
as though we painted a picture that everybody's against this program. And I don't think we're against the program. And my office is on Chronos, so, you know, I'm not coming at it from being opposed to Chronos. But I think the picture's being painted that county officials are against this. And I think that's an inaccurate picture because this has been, hold on. Because we've been working on this for 10 years now, and then 12 years. And now all of a sudden it's an emergency. And I agree that, you know, let's work towards something. But let's be careful painting county officials as bad actors in this. And that David's gonna come back and give us a report on the bad actors. Because that's not what that is. When you ask questions, that's not being a bad actor. That's asking questions. So that's all I have.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, would it be possible to bring those folks in through the mayor's office and then we just suspend the rules in the next meeting, next month, and we ask those questions?
I learned more from Mrs. Strong than I did,
Yeah, I mean, I
of
think that
the
would be
struggles
very
that were,
helpful.
I mean, you can see it on paper, but to hear people.
We actually haven't approached all the departments, we've only approached the one that we tried to do. That's why I'm saying be sure, several we've done and several we've approached. Some of them said they want to wait till later or have a response. Some of them we haven't approached at all because we've been dealing with those. And I'm saying this has been a moving target for years with major changes in what's included, what's not included, who, you know, moved it to IT and back, and it's been all.
Maybe if we go back versus pushback, that may not be the word, maybe it's a complete understanding of what's the expectations are.
Can we just send out, like, from my office, a nice email to ask everybody when their availability would be to move forward with the Chronos system and when they would not?
Yeah, that's fair.
Kind of get that, do a timeline based on that and just move forward.
I still to go back to Mayor, I've got two things. I think go back to Mayor Isbell, I think we need to hear from them, whether it's coming to the meeting, like Mr. Brown suggested or something. I agree with you, that you need to know a timeline, but I think it'd help us here to hear what the choke points and problems are. The other thing is for Mr. Long, I don't think 60 days with budget coming up, it's gonna be hard for him to get anything turned around in 60 days because budget's gonna eat up
All the time.
In all fairness to our finance director.
I think to our finance director, probably 90 or 120. I know we want to get this done, but I think there aren't enough hours in the day for him to get all the things done with budget and get this done.
We have consultants that we're paying right now to do work.
No, the problem we get into is the consultants, we have to work with them and the department, so it ends up being, and IT at one point, the consultants actually take it, but not having to. The only time they're useful is if it's something we don't know, or if we take Chronos and it's something we don't know and want training on. That's kind of the best way to put it.
So it's only on an as-needed basis you're using it. So
We've not used any for, basically, we just now implemented a full department internally, we didn't use any. We brought in.
so we don't have any out of bodies.
And we're trying to bring libraries on board within the next month or less, a few days.
And they're ready.
We're ready to pull libraries in all 5 of them, and we do that
Payroll.
internally. So we're not using any external help, we're actually using things in our departments, but we're prioritizing payroll stuff over, that's what we're really doing.
I believe Todd's motion
I've
was
got to go to
discussion.
60 days.
Is it 60 days, or are you gonna amend it to 90 days? Are you gonna stay with 60 days?
So do you
Todd?
think 90 or 120 would be our best bet?
I think right now what we need to do is try to issue just a report back that what we have accomplished. We've reached out, got the library done, and asked when they're available, and maybe instead of a meeting for next financial management for the officials to sit in here and see what they want out of it.
Yeah. If they could come next time, that will help us. I mean, if Ms. Strong had said she needed a system to keep up with her certificate before, we would have been ahead of that without taking time. So, yeah, if they want to come and I think next time if they come and just talk.
Mr. Mayor, would you invite them to come that month?
Yeah, so we're looking at the next meeting, 60 days.
Next meeting, have all the officials and suspend
Is
rules.
the next meeting 60 days or is it 30?
Third, let's do
Well, the
next
next meeting's
meeting.
in 30 days, yeah.
Yeah, and then we can follow up after that.
And that's what I was trying to make sure we can be interested. We are prioritizing day-to-day operations each of this year. What's the first year we did WTs and the new chrono system submit to it, including me and you and several else, what about 50 to 100 extra hours? So nobody was working on chronos because we were actually working on WTs and payroll.
So let me withdraw that 60 days and then come back 30 days and start hearing from department personnel.
Now, 30 days?
So the next meeting, we'll invite everybody to suspend the rules and just have a discussion basically.
Right, and that's what we've been doing the last year. We were actually doing the payroll system. And we dropped out of chronos and actually put on the new system.
We need a motion
Yeah,
for that.
So that's the motion.
The motion, all right, any second? And again, this is to suspend the rules for the next meeting and invite all the department heads to discuss challenges of implementing Chronos so we can hear back.
And I don't know how many you can crank through in one meeting, but, we might want to, it might be 2 meetings if we have to do that. I don't know how many people, what the concerns are, so I think it would be better to say start working through that in the next meeting.
It's really almost like what budget
Yeah.
is. There's a work session.
There's some passion here, we need to get, we need to hear it.
Well, we want to hear what the hopes are, so.
Okay, so we've got a motion, a second, all in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Motion carries.
I make a motion to defer the resolution until we get this report back from, the finance director and the officials.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
So I need to be clear, when do you want to see?
I'll second the
The
adjournment.
resolution?
Yes.
2 months.
2 months, okay.
So we're postponing the resolution for 2 meetings until we hear back from the county officials.
Gotcha.
We got a motion and a second, all approved? Aye.